I'll be honest with you, never in my life did I think my quiet return to Lake Alderwood would kick off with flashing red and blue lights bouncing off pine trees, 3 squad cars crowding my old gravel drive, and me standing there in flannel pajama pants, holding a chipped coffee mug while some woman in neon pink athleisure hollered about ecological tyranny like she was running for governor of Crazy Town. Yeah, that happened. I figured I'd come up here, catch a couple of trout, breathe that mountain air, maybe let myself cry into a beer or two thinking about my dad and the old cabin he left me. I sure didn't expect to start my first day back being treated like a fugitive in my own home. Let me set the scene. It was about 7:30 in the morning, cool enough that every breath felt like a reminder. You're somewhere honest, somewhere that doesn't care about your LinkedIn profile. Birds were fluttering around my dad's feeder, the lake so smooth you could see the sky doubled in it. For a second, the world felt like it was actually still, like I might get a peaceful chapter for once. Then out of nowhere, boom, peace shattered like a beer bottle on concrete. She came stomping down my dock like she was about to annex the place. Tall elbows so pointy they could slice deli meat, blonde ponytail so tight you'd think her thoughts were getting vacuum sealed. Clipboard in one hand, this tiny, trembling Pomeranian stuffed under the other, sunglasses so big they looked like satellite dishes searching for intelligent life. Good luck there. Walked like she owned the whole lake, which is hilarious, because spoiler alert, she didn't. Name was Clarissa Benton, self-appointed president of the Timbercrest Community Harmony Council, otherwise known as an HOA that technically didn't even exist anymore. But I'll get to that circus. Sir, she shrieked. Yeah, actually shrieked, like someone who got into community politics just because nobody listened to her at Thanksgiving. You are in violation of Timbercrest Environmental Code Section 8.4. She brandished her clipboard at my bird feeder like she just busted a cartel. Unauthorized wildlife disruption, she declared, looking around like she expected applause. I blinked, sipped my coffee, tried to decide if I was still dreaming. You mean feeding birds? She puffed up like I'd insulted her diploma from Power and Compliance University. Bird feeders disrupt natural migration patterns and seed distribution. The dog yapped in agreement naturally. And you know what? If that's all it was, maybe I'd have laughed it off, called it a weird misunderstanding, chalked it up to HOA fever dreams. But no, she pulled out her phone, dialed up the drama hit speaker, and within 10 minutes I heard sirens echoing across the lake. 3 sheriff cars rolled up my drive like I'd taken hostages, instead of holding a mug that said "Best Son Ever" in faded letters. Deputies hopped out, hands on their belts, looking for a showdown. "Sir, we need to see some ID," one said, trying to look tough but mostly looking tired. I'll never forget Clarissa's face, triumphant, smug, like a hawk spotting a mouse. Her dog was practically vibrating with judgment. I didn't argue. Just set my mug down, popped open the old metal lockbox my dad used for fishing licenses, and pulled out the deed. Not just for the cabin, not just for the shoreline, for the entire valley. Lake Woods ridges, water rights, all of it. I handed the documents to the sheriff, who squinted at the pages, checked seals and signatures. You could see the realization hit confusion, disbelief, then this slow, almost embarrassed respect. "This says you own the whole valley," he murmured. "Yep," I said, casual as I could. "Dad bought it in '92, left it to me." Clarissa started laughing, high shrill like a tea kettle of denial. "Impossible. No one can own the lake. It's governed by community charter." The sheriff shook his head. "Ma'am, these are county sealed records. He owns the land, water, access, everything. Private property." Her jaw dropped so hard I thought it'd bounce off the dock. When she started sputtering about community order and shared ecological governance, I just smiled, took my papers back, folded them neat. "Maybe the community ought to read the county records a little closer," I said. The sheriff gave me a nod. "You're good, sir. Sorry to bother you." One deputy muttered, "Guess you just seceded from the HOA," and chuckled all the way back to his cruiser. And for a minute I thought, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe this'll be the end of it. Man, if only people like Clarissa could lose gracefully. I watched her storm off in her little electric golf cart. Yep, a golf cart rumbling down a gravel mountain road like it was a presidential motorcade. But as she disappeared, something inside me shifted. That peace I came here for suddenly felt fragile, like someone breathing heavy on a house of cards. My dad always said Sunland brings out the truth in people. Some protect it. Others try to own what's not theirs. Never understood that until now. That night, sitting by the fireplace, old boards creaking, flames popping, I couldn't stop thinking about her. The certainty in her voice, the entitlement blazing behind those sunglasses. She didn't hate me because I fed birds. She hated that somebody existed who wouldn't bow. The next morning, curiosity gnawed at me, so I drove into Alderwood. Tiny town. One diner, one bait shop, post office where the same guy handles your stamps and your secrets. I wandered into the only real estate office, Benton and Brookstone Realty. Yeah, Clarissa's last name, go figure. The receptionist looked like she'd swallowed a lemon when I mentioned property rights. "Oh, you mean Clarissa's counsel?" she whispered, stretching the word like it physically hurt. With a little polite small talk and one slice of blueberry pie from the diner, because honestly, you never fight HOA demons on an empty stomach. I pieced it all together. There was a Timbercrest HOA once. It dissolved years back. No one filed paperwork, no one renewed. No one cared except Clarissa. She just kept running it anyway. Printed forms, held meetings, collected fees, fined people. All because nobody challenged her. She built an empire out of sheer audacity. Driving back, I laughed. She turned HOA cosplay into actual government. But it stopped being funny real quick. Suddenly, signs started popping up on my trails. HOA territory, private access only. Bogus letters on cheap inkjet letterhead said I owed $200 to $500 in environmental penalties. Flyers accusing me of disturbing natural aquatic symmetry got taped to my truck windows like I'd clubbed baby seals for fun. I didn't react. Dad always said, "Let fools show their hand before you play yours." So I documented everything, every sign, every phony notice, every boundary stake she moved. And yeah, she actually moved survey stakes. Found one shoved almost 30 feet off the line near Pine Hollow Creek. I laughed not because it was funny, but because it was so absurdly predictable. Folks hungry for power always think no one else is watching. A few days later, she showed up on my porch. Same shade, same dog, but a new tone, syrupy sweet like poison honey. "Mr. Hayes." "That's me, by the way." "Evan Hayes. I'm giving you one chance to comply before we escalate to county authorities." I just leaned against the rail arms, crossed calm as sunrise on the lake. Pretty sure the county already weighed in Clarissa. Her jaw ticked. "You don't understand. This valley runs on unity and structure. Without governance, things fall apart." I smiled, small and knowing, just enough to bruise her ego. "Maybe what falls apart isn't the valley, Clarissa. Maybe it's your control over it." She looked ready to throw her dog at me like a grenade. "I will not let one outsider destroy our system," she hissed. "Funny," I said. "Looks to me like the only system here is the one you made up." Off she went, heels clicking like a metronome of rage across my porch. That night, with moonlight rippling over the water, I just knew she wasn't done. 2 nights later, I checked my trail cam. There she was, flashlight in one hand, stack of flyers in the other, whispering to herself like a cartoon villain. She stapled notices to trees, snapped photos like she was starring in a true crime special, mine, I guess. She even glared at my camera, eyes blazing with righteous fury. I backed up that footage, 3 times cloud drive laptop and 1 SD card buried in a coffee can under the porch. You get a little paranoid when someone tries to colonize your land with a clipboard in a dream. Soon after I had a visit from Landon Pierce, the county environmental officer looked like he'd rather be fishing than dealing with HOA cosplay. But when he saw my stack of evidence, he just shook his head. "She built a dam," he muttered. "In a natural creek without a permit. That's half the eco codes in the county right there." "Yep," I said. "She'd piled rocks to raise the lake level trying to claim more shared waterfront." Guess I filmed it. I shrugged. Landon promised a full report. By then the flyers in town read, "Avoid property at Lot 7 aggressive individual." Lot 7 was my childhood fishing spot, not some number on a spreadsheet. She turned a memory into a warning label. That stung. One evening I walked to her house, glass walls, sharp angles, the kind of place that screams admire me but never come in. She opened the door in a silk robe and an avocado mask, looking like she'd been summoned from a spa battlefield. I handed her a cease and desist letter. "You step on my land again, you deal with the sheriff." Her eyes went wide, then narrowed frozen fury. "You think paper scares me?" "No," I said, "but truth does." Next morning there's a drone hovering over my cabin camera gimbal, spinning like an eagle eye. Sticker on the side, Benton Property Management. Her company or her fantasy. At this point, reality and her imagination were pretty much the same. I waved at it like greeting a nosy ant. It zipped back to her house. Swear to God, through my binoculars I saw her watching me with binoculars of her own. Two grown adults playing Cold War with drones in the mountains at 8 a.m. If I didn't live through it, I'd say it was a sitcom. Things kept escalating. Strangers in neon vests showed up at my dock claiming HOA inspection. I recorded them, asked for their permits. They left real fast. Sheriff came again, third time's the charm, right? This time he looked tired. "Mr. Hayes, keep recording everything. That woman doesn't know when to quit." Then came the storm, a real one, not metaphor. Midnight thunder rolling off the ridge, rain hammering the roof, lightning turning the lake white. Somewhere in the chaos I heard a crash, ran out flashlight bobbing, and saw my observation deck collapsing into the water. Support beams hacked through like someone played angry lumberjack. Only one camera survived, the hidden one pointing at the dock. The video showed a flash of lightning, and there she was, Clarissa, soaked hood up, hair stuck to her face, sawing at my deck like some deranged raccoon. That was it. Next morning, muddy boots, soaked flannel, I marched into the sheriff's office, dropped the flash drive on the desk. The deputies shared that look when a paperwork headache becomes a criminal case. Within hours, sheriff cruisers rolled up at her house. I watched from my porch. Saw her on her deck arms, waving, voice cracking, not just losing the valley, but losing her grip. They took her away, not in cuffs but close. Charges, trespassing, property destruction, restraining order violations, then the big one, environmental fines, foreclosure threats, court orders. Her little empire crumbled. Here's the truth nobody tells you: victory is quiet, almost sad when the war's finally over. The valley went still. Neighbors trickled out. Doug, the retired surveyor, Rose, the widow, even some teenagers hauling boards. "That lady fined us for skateboarding," one said, grinning. People talked, laughed, breathed again. Turns out she didn't just rule the land, she ruled by fear. When fear left, the community returned. Months passed. Winter crept in. Lake iced over her house, sat abandoned, a monument to ego. Wind chimes gone silent. Bank took it. Realtor asked if I wanted to buy. I hesitated, then realized owning land isn't about power. It's about stewardship. So I bought it not to gloat, but to reclaim peace. Fixed it up, turned it into Lookout Lodge, a place for hikers, vets, families needing rest. No rules, but one: respect the land and each other. People came, left notes. One woman wrote, "Clarissa fined me for wind chimes." I hadn't sat outside in years. I kept her letter in my dad's journal alongside his maps and scribbles about this place being a refuge, not a kingdom. One spring, I found an old boundary marker, my initials and my father's carved side by side. Brushed off the moss, felt something deeper than nostalgia, inheritance, not of land but of duty. I climbed the lookout tower at sunset, rebuilt taller, stronger, and whispered, "I'm still here, Dad." The wind answered through the pines. But silence, I've learned, doesn't always mean peace. It's just the world catching its breath between storms. I don't know if people like Clarissa ever really change, or if they just go looking for a new place to conquer. Sometimes I still half expect a drone in the morning air, or a flash of pink tracksuit on the ridge. Power's a strange thing. Some folks build community, others build cages. If there's one lesson in all this, it's that land doesn't pick who owns it. Land picks who respects it. And peace, real peace, isn't quiet. It's earned breath by breath, choice by choice, boundary by honest boundary. So if anyone ever tries to take what's yours, your land, your dignity, even your right to feed a bird, don't fight with rage. Fight with patience, with proof, and that calm certainty that time always sides with the truth. Sometimes the loudest victories sound like wind in the pines' water at your dock and a valley finally breathing free. If you made it this far, drop a comment below. The valley protects its own. Tell me where you're watching from. And here's my question. Do folks like Clarissa ever learn? Or do they just start over somewhere new? Hit subscribe for more real stories, real land, real lessons, and maybe, just maybe, a little peace.